Alright, how long have you been playing video games?
Oh, wow. That's actually a great question. I started playing video games on a Sega Genesis at my grandma's house back before I can remember caring about how old I was. My first console was a PlayStation 1 that my parents got me for my 7th birthday. I remember getting it with all my second grade friends. I had a demo disc with like Spyro the Dragon, Medieval, like the first Metal Gear Solid. Man, I did not have the patience for those cutscenes back then. But anyway, so I started playing games basically since I was 7 years old, really in earnest, and have been playing them pretty much ever since. And I'm 26 now, so that's been like, I guess, I don't math. What, 19 years? Yeah. Okay, 19. Yeah, that maths.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you played Mortal Kombat X?
Well, I played Mortal Kombat X specifically since about June of 2016, so it's been about a year now. I've been playing Mortal Kombat since the early days, since way back before I should have been playing it, according to my parents. Or if they'd known about it, you know what I mean. But my cousin had all the MK games, so I'd play, Deadly Alliance, Deception, all that on like the PS2 and such. He had one, I think, on the Dreamcast. I don't remember. It was one of the ones with like one of the first ones with Bo Raicho in it. So I think that was like PS2. I don't remember. Anyway, so yeah, I started MKX when I was like, I guess last year. So I just turned 25, and I had a PS4, and I finally downloaded MKX because a couple of friends recommended it. And I remember how much fun it was, and I thought I would pick up some character, pick up the game, try and pick up a character or two, see which one I liked the best. And eventually, I settled on Mileena.
Alright, and what about MKX makes it accessible for you?
Okay. So, MKX, accessibility is really interesting. It's really accidentally accessible. I don't know if NetherRealm Studios intended it to be, but everything on every menu is really fairly accessible for the blind with a little bit of help at first. I had a good friend, help read me all the menus so I could then like write it down, and remember where everything is. But as far as navigating menus, everything makes sound. There's a click for when you move from one item to another. There's a click for when you select an item. Like on a menu, there is when you're moving to characters, you get over to the character you want, and it announces that character's name aloud. And when you're switching variations, which I don't tend to do with Mileena, it will show which variation you're on, or it will at least make a sound based on which variation you're on, like a little like whooshing sound. But I tend to stick with one particular variation, so I don't have that problem as much. Costume selecting isn't quite as accessible, but since that's not game essential, it's not that big of a deal.
Cool. What made you decide to play as Mileena?
Yes, Mileena, my favorite. Well, I've always had a thing for the villainess type characters, but also there's a lot to do with her play is very accessible. She makes a lot of distinctive noises on screen that I can hear pretty well. Like her growls and such are fairly distinct in terms of setting her apart from other characters, even other characters who share similar voices. She also has a lot of moves like the ball roll that will take her straight toward an opponent, no matter which side of screen they're on. You have to match the input, appropriately, but they will get you to the opponent pretty quickly, and you'll be really clear where you are relative to where they are. Same with the telekick, wherever you are, and that one you can input on either side of the screen because the input's the same regardless, and that'll just take you right up next to your opponent, and so that's very accessible because it allows me to, for example, do a telekick, and then I can set that up into an attack that is going to, put me right next to the opponent, so I'll know exactly where I am relative to where they are.
How do you know where to go on screen during a fight?
That's a good question. A lot of people ask me that. It's all about the sound. MKX and a lot of modern fighting games, especially stuff with NetherRealm, that they've made, Injustice 2, all the MK games, are very rich in sound. I can walk around and hear footsteps. I can go up to a character, and if I hit them, I know which side of the screen they're on with the nice stereo sound. When I, for instance, knock a character away, I can hear which side of the screen they land on, and hear when their body hits the ground versus when it gets back up. And then I can, close in based on where they are. So it's all just a process of listening. Now, stage interactions, little like push R1 to do such and such, I can't really do those, unfortunately. There's not really a sound for that. But I find that I can hold my own in a fight without having to worry too much about the stage interactions.
Awesome. And was it hard to learn combo attack?
Yes and no. I can't read the list of combos on screen when you load it up from the pause menu, so I can get someone to read it for me, but that's a lot of information. So what I tended to do at first was just kind of push random buttons, figure out, what did what. And that tended to get me a few combos, but it was never anything to write home about. What I had to do was go online and look up. There were guides. There were people saying, like, do this. Some of the combos I would have never figured out, like the one that's back 1, 2, 1 plus 3, and then down, down 2 to extend it. I would have never figured that out on my own, just because it's such a, you wouldn't know to try it unless you were told to try it. Anyway. Things like that took a little more research online. I found like Prima has a site where they, they have all the Mortal Kombat characters. They have a summary, and they're like kind of some pretty basic combos. They're kind of rudimentary combos, but they really get the ball rolling. And learning to do stuff like that led me to learning to do the more complex things, like stringing combos together.
Get the ball rolling, like the ball roll?
Exactly, get the ball rolling, just like ball roll, where I can, start off with a ball roll, turn that into another attack, turn that into a combo, and by stringing combos together into a nice combo string, you can make something a lot more elaborate and a lot more damaging. It's a lot of fun, and yep, you get that ball rolling with ball roll.
Cool. What types of attacks are your favorite and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I have two types of favorite attacks. Some are good because they're useful. For canceling, for example, the one that starts with the back 1, 2, if instead of doing back 1, 2, 1 plus 3, if you start with back 1, 2, and then cancel that into a psi attack, it can actually be really effective. So you can do back 1, 2, and then 1 plus, or back forward 1. So back 1, 2, back forward 1, and it'll do a medium range psi attack, or like medium height. You do back 1, 2, back forward 3, and you'll do a low range one, and that's really great for mixing it up. You'll hit the opponent sometimes in the middle, sometimes low, sometimes they don't know where to block, so you're just hitting them over and over, and they don't know where to block, and then you can suddenly turn that into getting the ball rolling again. So you can do back 1, 2, turn it into a ball roll, turn that into a combo, and really just mix it up, and the opponent a lot of the time does not know where to block when it comes to that, and I find that really fun and really exciting to mix it up. But then I also just like some of her more just viscerally painful looking attacks. There's one of my favorites, like back 2, 1, 2 plus 4, and it's just like all these stab sounds. I'm not even really sure what she's doing, but I really enjoy like the just repeated, just violent cutting sounds. And also being able to, do that and then transfer pretty quickly into a psi attack can be very useful too. But it's really fun to hear all that quick stabs of those attacks. It's pretty fun.
Nice. So talk a bit about your general strategy.
Okay, so my strategy, that's it really depends on who I'm playing against. With the computer, you can pretty much get away with the same crap all the time, but it really depends on who you're playing. Some people really like to zone. I've got one friend who loves to zone. So when it comes to that, I love to, get inside of projectiles. So if I'm, let's say, all the way across the arena, and he starts winding up for a projectile, and I can hear that split second before it fires, I can quickly do a telekick, get inside his projectile, and then start my usual mix it up with the back 1, 2, back forward 1, back 1, 2, back forward 3, back 1, 2, back down, circle, not circle, I guess it'd be 4 for the ball roll, and, get that combo going again. So it really depends on who I'm fighting. That's like a good zoning strategy. And so then it really depends if I'm getting someone who likes to be up close. It's a lot of blocking, and that becomes tricky for me because I got to start to anticipate how do I block what they're doing, and I got to start learning what moves sound like. Is that going to be an overhead attack? Is that going to be a low attack? Based on the sound, and then I've got to learn which of my moves are going to be an overhead attack, which are going to be get over their head when they're blocking low. What's going to do such and such. So a lot of my strategy involves just playing and playing and playing until I get a lot of moves committed to memory and a lot of their sounds, not just my own, but my opponents on pretty much every character, so that I can learn to, you know, just really get them backed up against a wall, or figuratively or literally, and just really like lay into them with whatever combos I feel like doing, based on what I'm reacting to from what I'm hearing.
Alright. Do you have any tips for blind gamers?
I would say be patient. Be very, very patient. It's hard. It's not easy. My early fights with Mileena were some of the most painfully clunky things. If you look on the MK playlist on this channel, you look at my first couple of videos, they look like crap. I mean, they're just painfully noobish kind of like videos. And a lot of blind people, we feel like, oh, we'll never get past that point. But that's not true. If you just keep at it, you can be mixing it up, you can be doing combos, you can, you know, be stringing combos, and it can be a lot of fun. You can do some serious damage. And it's pretty rewarding when you're fighting a sighted friend and can just take them out with, you know, your MK skills when you can't even see. I mean, it's a little demoralizing for them, and I find that kind of funny. But it's worth it. It's so worth it. But also, don't be afraid to ask for help. You gotta have someone, you know, a sighted person at first show you, hey, here's how you do these menus, here's what's here and here. And if you can learn that, or ask another blind person who's played the game for a while, and it might be able to give you some advice. Don't forget to, you know, ask for help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. There's no harm in that, and I think it's totally, it's totally worth doing, and it'll get you where you need to be, and it'll get you over that initial learning curve, and you can be able to start playing the game on your own independently, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sighted, and yeah, he kicks my ass. It's pretty goddamn demoralizing.
She is not wrong. It is demoralizing. I make sure of that.
And finally, how do you most enjoy finishing off an opponent?
Oh, well, of course, that's a classic fatality, but which one is the best? That's a tough one. I would go into fatality practice mode just to make sure I could, like, get used to doing the specific fatalities, but I think my favorite one is where Mileena just, like, gets them on the ground and just starts eating, you know, their belly regions or their intestines or whatever the hell, and they're just screaming and screaming. That's, you know, it's intense. It's visually intense from what I hear, and it's auditorily pretty pleasing because it's just really visceral. It's really unpleasant. It really just drives home to them, hey, you didn't just get beat, you got beat, and then you got eat. You know, like it's pretty fun. That's one of my favorite. You got beaten and eaten. You know, and that's how Mileena rolls. That's how I roll, and you know, that's what we like to do here at Blind Man Gaming. So thank y'all for watching so much. This the story of Blind Man Gaming, a year in the making. You know, keep coming back. I hope to have a lot more promising videos up in the future, have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, keep it coming. We love your love and support here, so thank you all so much for being a part of Blind Man Gaming. Rock and roll.